Welcome back to Black Girl Couch Reviews. I'm your host, Christina. We are back for another recap and review of the Umbrella Academy Season 1, Episode 3, Extraordinary. I guess take 3 guesses on who is the primary focus in this episode. Even though there was a lot of good character development between Allison and Luther that I really liked. And we saw, some things from Diego as well. So it wasn't a centered, completely focused on Vanya, but we definitely get a little bit more into her perspective, and that's where the title definitely references. This episode was directed by Andrew Bernstein, who did the last episode, and it was written by Ben Nadivi and Matt Wolpert. I gave this one a little bit lower score, still on the higher side. I gave him an 8.7. There was a little too much, and this is one of the things I worry about, was worried about, I should say, around Robert Sheehan taking the role of Klaus, because I do like the character. However, he is very much, if you've watched the show Misfits, there's not much separating the two characters. I believe that his character in Misfits, I'm blanking on his name right now, Nathan, right? He was immortal. So he went and kind of traversed a more darker path in regards to death and morality, and he kind of used it as a joke, and he was the punchline, and he does a really good job of that. However, there are some aspects that aren't quite so tasteful, and it showed in this episode a little bit. And the last episode, I forgot to commend on how well they actually balanced out Klaus, and I was starting to think that maybe my concerns were unfounded and it was going to work out perfectly fine. And unfortunately, when you get to the third episode, a little too much of Klaus can sometimes cloud an otherwise very good scene, and there were quite a few little things that just didn't work with his character in this episode. But overall, I still liked it. I still love all of the characters as a whole. It's going to be interesting week by week, shifting where they are on the roster of favorites. Number 5, y'all know that's kind of my bae right now. I'm really liking Allison. I would say she's my second. I think Luther is my third. I don't know. Him and Diego are kind of split right now because they both have things I really like about them, and they both have things that kind of some flaws where they really kind of stuck in their own, ideals, centered around, of course, how they've interpreted their experiences, and they're completely different opposing views, which is so strange because it's number 1 and number 2, and the fact that there's this huge rivalry between the two characters, and seeing how that plays out not only in just who they are, but in how they think. But before we do get into the episode, there is some news and gossip out in the streets today that was worthy of me wanting to discuss. R. Kelly has finally been indicted. We all knew he'd been trashed since 1999. This is new. This is not new to any black woman that been paying attention. And there have been a lot of discussion around this, around the girls and this and that. It's kind of like the same thing with Cosby. It's always kind of look at the victims, and that could tell you a little bit more about, but that's the thing. Your circumstance should not decide or be the complete and utter determining factor in whether or not someone mistreated you or the other party took advantage of a situation. I know a lot of some people that I'm really, I talk to about this are really hard on the fact that some of these girls really put themselves in these situations. And my thing is, it is is clinically proven that the chemical balance of a teenager up until the time you're around 20, 21, your brain simply is not mature enough to handle the more complex aspects of life. No matter how mature you may seem, how out in the streets you are, how much you doing does not determine how mature and how educated that you really are. And to try to put that on these girls who may not even see themselves as victims, and some who do, look at I think it was Eve. She had a song. I really loved her song, Heaven Only Knows. I love that song because she talks about how she was young, 15 at home, fucking thinking she was big and grown because her body was the way it was. However, she was young. She was taken advantage of. She was out doing stuff she shouldn't have. And she didn't realize that till she was 20 years later. And that's to be expected because you get wisdom and you wise up and you are able to make these more adult decisions. And I don't care what you want to say about the girls. What we can say is R. Kelly is a grown-ass man and knows the difference between right and wrong. And I don't care these, I didn't know they was. Then you're fucking stupid. When you talk to a 15, 16, 17-year-old, you know, especially when your old ass don't tell me no shit like that. You ain't need to card somebody to know when you're talking to them, when you're having conversations with them, if they're mature enough. I mean, I've listened to just like teenagers in a fucking store. Woo, Lord Jesus. So yeah, it's a hooray for us in some ways. Some people may not care or think it, why now? But hey, shit, get them while it's hot. Take these people down. I don't care if it takes karma 20 years to catch up with you. That's what karma is. It's a bitch. Chandler Riggs came out with an article on Uproxx talking about how he admits that his terrible acting may have been a factor in the reason why he was let go from The Walking Dead. There had been some speculation in the article about how Andrew Lincoln may have already told them that he was leaving, but apparently there's been no proof of that. And that was my thought, honestly. I love the character of Carl. I have him on my refrigerator right now, his magnet next to Rick and Michonne. That's my family. That's Grimes 2.0. I stand them hard. However, I have always felt, if I'm just being honest, that his acting was not up to par, especially around season 4, 5, and 6. Little baby Carl, I felt for him more, even when he was being a little shit. But around 4 was when he kind of got a little intolerable, and then they were giving him some material. However, he just wasn't, I never bought into anything he was doing with Enid. I completely just checked out of that shit. I didn't give a fuck what was happening to Carl. If he was not in a scene with Michonne, to be honest, I didn't too much care. And that only is because that it didn't hit me in a huge, even when he had that scene with Michonne, that huge moment that I loved between them, it could have been better. And I think that it's very mature of him, and to be commended that he can recognize them. He said, he went back and looked at his own performances and realized that, yeah, maybe this was something that maybe they saw the story going a little bit further and didn't think that he would be able to carry the material. So better to kill him off than have to recast them. And I think that's ultimately what they did, and just gave the story to Henry and broke it up between Henry, Daryl, and I'm sure whoever. No one fucking cares anyway, because the show is already going to shit. So Carl, it's fine. Like, even if you had stayed, I don't know. I really don't, if it would have made a difference, but it definitely was the beginning of the end. So it's not to say that you did not make an impact on the show, because a lot of people, despite what your performance was, still enjoyed seeing you week to week. So I think it's a valid criticism, and I stand behind the network. You know, when you're making that type of juggle and you're dealing with a show that's gotten flogging ratings and you're trying to inflate new life to it, you got to kind of cut the dead weight. And it's unfortunate because then people are like Eugene are still on the show and they are the deadest of the weight. However, they're probably getting paid bare minimum. Just facts. Carl demands a paycheck. He is a star of the show. Eugene does not even be featured week to week. So it's all about the money. It's all about a business. And that's what I've always stated. I never thought it was personal. I always felt that the AMC just made a business decision. And unfortunately, it just infected someone who was young and you really were rooting for. New Pearson is going to be premiering on USA March 28th. It's a spinoff of Suits. I have been looking forward to this shit. I like Suits, but I kind of fell off around season 3. And I really like Gina Torres, and I watched the trailer today. It looks great. I'm totally going to want to podcast that, so I really need to get my ass together and get some of these finished. I'm really working hard, so I got 3 out today, so I plan on hopefully getting at least 2 out tomorrow. And on The Expanse in particular, and on Haunting of Hill House. Those are 2 I'm going to really tackle this weekend. And then Altered Carbon got renewed for a season 2. This is news to me, apparently, because it was already announced that Anthony Mackie would be taking over where Joel Kinnaman was. I forgot what the guy's name is, Kozar or something like that. I was immensely disappointed with season 1. Some people really liked it, and that's to each their own. I thought they had a great concept. I really unfortunately just did not gel with any of the characters. I didn't bond with anyone. Even the black girl with the puffy little hair that I wanted to root for, I couldn't. Even Poe, I like where they were going in the mindset of it, in the idea of it. However, it just did not pan out on screen at all. But yeah, apparently we just gonna make it full on black, so I'm cool with this. I will watch it because what's her name, Renee Elise Rosenberry, she's gonna still be in it playing his main love interest, and then Simone Missick is gonna also be in it. So I am really hyped for. I hope they don't just do a rinse and repeat from season 1 and do the same damn story over again, because you know he loved her but he fell in love with the hardened cop. I hope they don't do the same love triangle, because that would just be really lazy on them. Like, come on, I know you want to erase the memory of Joel Kinnaman, but to really redo the whole story would just be asinine. But I love that they are keeping Simone Missick. I noticed that when I am researching Netflix shows, that they keep it very much in the family. They do treat their stars or people that they feel are breakout stars from their original content and try to give them other roles in original content shows. So it really made me feel good that I was going to be seeing Simone Missick, and it makes me feel optimistic that I'll be seeing her in other roles on Netflix, because she's an amazing actress, and I never felt she got to shine the way she fully deserved in Luke Cage or Iron Fist. So that is all for news and gossip. Let's go ahead and get into this episode. So we start off with Vanya. 5 years ago, she goes to an antique shop, and wow, they have comics based on them. That is freaking cool. But that is not what she is interested in. She is interested in the typewriter. Sidebar: what happened to the other 36 children? Are we ever going to get that answer? Just curious. She uses this typewriter to write her autobiography. I guess this just came to her one day. She publishes it and gets her photo taken. It blows up. And we get this montage of all of the kids as adults reading the book for the first time. You know, even at her photo shoot, it's really hard for Ellen Page to smile. She's a beautiful woman, but how she kind of shrinks into herself to show the mindset of Vanya, it's kind of like, it's kind of a downer. Because you feel so bad for her, even though you honestly, in some ways, like, I really felt bad for her at the end of the episode, but I could totally see where Diego and Allison unfortunately were coming from. And it's this constant, do I belong, do I not belong battle with her, and she's always being left with shit on her face. And you feel bad for her, but at the same time you're just like, girl, let it, like, well, I guess she does, because she goes right to the arms of Leonard. But unfortunately, I don't trust Leonard, and yeah. So Luther during this montage is looking totally normal, because Tom Hopper is beyond. If y'all seen him in Black Sails, you know him in his shirt off. He is tall, he is muscular, he got that little cut. He's a good looking man. So apparently 5 years ago, he as an adult was still normal. So I wonder when he turned into 8-man or half 8-man. And he's doing his workout, reading the book. Miss Allison is getting her makeup done, and she's reading the book all distracted, like, get off me. What's this she talking about? Diego is straight up just punching the photo. He just cut her photo out. He probably read that book in 5 seconds and said, this is some bullshit, and decided to punch her photo on his punching bag. Even dead Ben, who is reading from the shoulder of Klaus, who is still he's always in an AA meeting trying to get some help, but never really getting any help, is affronted. Like, she wrote that? Like, what the fuck? And he's just like, shh, I'm trying to read this. Even though, why are you trying to read in the middle of an AA meeting? Obviously, it's mandatory. And number 5 is even in the apocalypse, taking a look at her book. And they're all got their own feelings about it, clearly. And we see that the fame is there for her and she's making money. But 5 years later to the present, that fame has dwindled. Her book is now 50% off. And no one's really showing up at her readings anymore. So that moment of her feeling quote unquote special is now wearing off. And now she's really looking for a place to fit in. And Vanya is late to her violin orchestra session. Dude, the looks they were given. Like, why did you even think you were going to creep in there and then noise? Like, you should have just put your violin down, took it out, and then just got in the seat and started playing. You did not even need to bring all that shit on stage. Know how to sneak in, girl. But everyone's all upset when, you know, she keeps making all that damn noise. And she's like, sorry I'm late. And he's like, oh, I hadn't noticed. And there's one student who is clearly not happy with the fact that Vanya is there. Her face just looks like this heifer. Because she apparently is very good and very much into what she's doing. And it's hitting home. I love how they did the opening shot with the umbrella and it's raining. How that hit home, how depressing Vanya's state of mind is. It's not funny, but it's just like, oh, this sad, sad story. And I do like the different ways they are introducing the title. It's just fun. And a lot of shows don't do that. They keep things pretty much this. Well, no, The Flash kind of, you know, every few seasons though. Oh my God, the worst is CSI, because they never change that shit. Every time I was like, oh. And I would never watch it on freaking Hulu because they don't have a freaking skip menu button or skip intro button. They need to get on that shit. We go to Vanya and Luther, or not Vanya and Luther, Allison and Luther. They are looking at the tape and Mom looks like she straight up poisoned Dad. Or he definitely was stroking out, and Mom coldly looked at him and walked the fuck out the room. And Allison is like, this don't look good. I think maybe you were right. Maybe Mom killed Dad. I don't know what to think about this. She's freaking out. Luther is like, well, Dad must have, like, how did you even find this? It's like, the tape was just out. And Luther says that Dad was acting paranoid, thinking people were following him, and that's why he probably turned the surveillance back on. They see a teacup in Mom's hand and surmise that she must have poisoned him. They immediately go to interrogate Mom, who's cooking them breakfast. She's got her eggs going, and they're just looking at each other, looking at Mom. She's still in her very 50s doll-up look, which I particularly like. And they say, hey, Mom, so, like, were you ever mad at Dad? And the way she scraped that pan made me feel like she was. But she's like, of course not. What are you talking about? She's like, you remember the night that Dad died? And she's like, yeah. Like, did you go in his room? I don't think so. I don't remember. And of course, just as they're trying to get more answers, Mom is more quiet, and she gives them eggs, bacon and eggs with a smiley face. It's really cute. She's just like, eggs are ready. I'm not answering any questions, even though you two really want to ask me. And you totally think I off Dad. Diego and Eudora are at the department store where it went down last episode with number 5. They find casings from was it 1938 or 1968? The shell casings on the floor, and they're like, that's weird. And she's like, I know, it matches another crime scene where the tow truck driver unfortunately died. And he's like, oh, who gave you that tip? And she's like, I ain't even got no time for games. Look, there's been a spree going on. I'm here for your ideas. Give them to me. And he's like, what about the kid? And she's like, well, we're looking for him, but we ain't got no information on him, which is hilarious because he has not even thought about his brother being involved in this, which is, when is his brother gonna, they need to really communicate. And he's like, I'm gonna chase them. And he really thinks that the city is going to shit. And she's like, really? Says the guy that's in spandex. And he's like, it's not spandex, it's leather, and you used to like it. His game is so strong. He keeps coming on to her. And she's like, okay, I'm walking away. Beeman is all like, I can't believe you banged him. And she's just like, shut up, I don't want to hear it. Vanya and Helen meet in the bathroom. Helen is the talented violinist, and Vanya tries to compliment her, tell her she did a really good job. Helen accepts the compliment. However, Vanya's suck-up game sucks, and Helen's like, look, girl, let me just tell you like this. Stop it. You've been in third chair since Neon was a pup. It's about passion, and it don't seem like you have it despite all the hours that you are putting in. And some people are special, some people have it, and some people don't. Stop wasting your time and find out if this is the passion for you, because I honestly don't think so. I think that you are doing what you have always done, which is play the violin, but I don't think you want to be here. And stop wasting everybody's time. We ain't got no time. The professor got other people, or the orchestrator, or what do you call him, the conductor? He has other people to teach and not waste time with you just because you can afford this class, basically. So Vanya completely accepts this dressing down and promptly self-medicates. We go to Cha and Hazel, and this girl is cauterizing her wound with a curling iron that is so hood. And Hazel, that is watching television. She's like, why are you even into this shit? And he's basically like, sometimes there's beauty in the mundane. And that is very true. That is the truest thing Hazel has said. He is wanting, or they get a message from a shoot in the bathroom. Like, what the fuck? And they are being docked in their pay for the delay and the fact that they haven't taken care of it by now. And Hazel's just like, what the fuck? It's only been one day. This is some bull crap. And Cha-Cha's just like, is that all? Are you done? Let's get back out there and kill this little shit. I do like what Mary J. Blige is doing. She's working very comfortably in her wheelhouse, and I think she's doing a really good job. Number 5 is sewing his own wound up in his room and puts a Billy the Choo-Choo Band-Aid on it. He packs up Dolores in his bag. He's just gonna lug her around, I guess. And he decides to go out the fire chute. And I'm like, dude, can you not just use the front door? Klaus is in the dumpster behind the house looking for the papers because Pogo put the guilt trip on him. Ben's like, can we just go see a movie? This is boring. The papers are missing. And Klaus witnesses number 5 coming down the fire escape, and he's just like, dude, you know there's easier ways, pal. And I'm like, that's me. That's totally me. He's trying to avoid the Inquisition. Number 5 says it's just easier. I don't have to ask questions if I leave out the fire escape. And Klaus is like, hey, you need a homie today because I need some money. And number 5 is like, I'm not here to support your drug habit. And he just like, I just want to hang out with my brother, not you. As he looks at Ben. That was funny. Him taking the donut out of the trash can, staring at number 5. That was so Nathan. I was like, no. It did not work for me at all. That was a flop. But number 5 totally straight up stole the plumbing car. The plumbing van. He just... He got in there and took off. The man just standing there like, the fuck? He is deciding his only plan to saving the world in the next 6 days is to stalk the Ameritech guy. And that is what he's going to do. Dolores accuses him of being drunk. Yes, he has full-on conversations with Dolores. This is so unhealthy. It really is. But it's so tragically human. Our need to connect is so real. Our need to have that connection is so real, and it's psychologically is what keeps us in the now and from wasting away. And he was forced to, in order to get back to his family. I think that's why it frustrates the hell out of him when Luther's like, you just think you're better than us. Yeah, well, I just went through hell. Literally went through 30 years of hell, to the point that I made up a fake person, and now I'm emotionally attached to that person or to that mannequin just to get back here to save you, to save my family. And none of y'all get it, but at the same time, number 5, you're not communicating, bruh. You gotta communicate. You just can't keep it all to yourself. Allison and Luther are in the living room area. They're still debating about mom, and Luther's like, Grace made her choice. She made her bed, she need to lie in it. She straight up killed dad, and that's not okay. He cut her out like she was cancer. And Allison is all like, no, wait, maybe she just didn't poison him. We left her alone. She's feeling really guilty about it. I wondered why Luther didn't learn his lesson from Diego. Didn't that teach you anything? You cannot jump the gun. I don't think that Grace killed mom. I think he just really did die of a heart attack. And Luther just needs an answer. But this Grace thing cracks me up the entire episode. Allison says that we left her alone in the house, like I said earlier, for 13 years. She's very much projecting because now she's the mom that's abandoned. So she now is empathizing with her in a way. But I'm like, girl, why are you backtracking now? You the one who brought it to him in the first place. Your first words last episode was, Luther, you may have been right. So why now you're like, Luther, what are you talking about? You're ludicrous. Of course mom didn't kill dad. Luther immediately peeps where she's coming from and wants to know what happened with Claire and Patrick. I do like that Luther is very much in tune with, or I should say attuned to Allison's moods. More so, they really do have a very tight-knit friendship and a bond because they apparently used to share everything when they were kids in this exact room. Because she at first does not want to bring it up or talk about it. She's like, I'm not talking about that. And he clearly calls her out like, no, we're closer than that. You don't hide shit from me. And she finally lets out the secret I've been wanting to know. She used her powers, or at least, Because first, Allison is like, things got bad between me and Patrick. She won't look at him. And then he figures out, oh shit, you used your powers on her. And that's when she admits that it started when she was 3 and it was supposed to be the one time, but she kept doing it, and it of course deteriorated her relationship with her husband, and now she has to go to mandatory therapy. She missed the session, I guess, when she went to her dad's funeral, and in order to get any access to her daughter. So she feels like she's ruined everything. She says that she got everything that she ever wanted, and she paid the price for that. She is very relatable in the scene as a parent, because let's be real, and she even says that, what parent, she didn't think she was being a bad parent, because she's like, well, I have these powers, why can't I use them? And of course she's just justifying her own actions, because when it gets too hard, she trying to kind of makes it easy for herself, but it's a hard thing to resist, right? I mean, reality and fantasy are always two different things. We always want to believe we're going to live up to our values. However, we sometimes fall into our faults, and they wouldn't be our flaws if we didn't, weren't acceptable to them. She says that, she didn't realize it was going to be so hard, and parenting is hard, girl. It's so hard. I always be talking to others like, oh, love, me and my kids, we did this, we did that. And I'm like, I'm so happy for you. But sometimes single parenthood is really difficult, and it's challenging. It's rewarding, of course, but to say it's not hard is just being unrealistic and untruthful, in my opinion. He tells her that some things take time, and she tells him that some things just stay broken. So I really like this scene. We finally got what happened between Claire and Patrick. I'm wondering, with the very obvious attraction and affection between Allison and Luther, why they never got together. And I'm wondering, because I don't know what age they're supposed to be. I was thinking maybe mid or maybe early 30s, but maybe they're supposed to be younger, because like I said, 5 years ago he was normal. And how old is Claire supposed to be? But apparently she wanted Patrick. I just wonder why her and him just didn't naturally make that next step in their relationship. Vanya goes to visit Leonard. She fakes like she was in the neighborhood, and he's like, girl, please. You came down here? You was just cruising in this neighborhood? And he invites her in the store, shows her around. I'm just like, I see you for what you are, Leonard. And he asks her out to dinner. She says yes. He's like, oh, I'm moving too fast. But she's like, no, I'm totally flattered. Allison finds her up on the streets. Now, they explain how Klaus found number 5. They did not explain how Allison found Vanya, but she's looking fierce like always. When Allison leaves the house, she put her ass together, don't she? But she's got this black leather jacket on that's just really nice. And she's like, Allison? She's like, hey, we need to meet at the house for a team meeting. And she's like, you want me to come? She's like, of course. And she really keeps looking at Vanya like, come on now, stop acting like we don't fight. It's like, stop. I clearly don't dislike you. Because I came and found you. If I didn't want you there, why would I come and find you? She tells her it's about mom. Leonard takes off, and Allison's like, who is he? And she starts to tease her a little bit about him. And she's like, well, I'm just trying to not be antisocial, basically. And Allison does apologize and say, I was mad at Patrick and I took it out on you. And I'm sorry, and I really suck at the sister thing. And Vanya's like, you think? And they have a nice little genuine family moment where she's like, oh, tell her really how you feel, or something like that. And she's like, well, maybe I will. And number 5 is still clutching the iPad in the eye. He has a PTSD moment where he flashes back to when he was in the apocalypse, and Luther is knocking on the van door, and he's like, number 5, and he squeezes his ass in the car. Oh, that was funny. And then he just looks right at him once he gets in and just like, you okay? His delivery was great there. He says that we got a team meeting. We need to meet back at the house. We got something serious going on. And 5's like, what the fuck are you doing at? Like, how the hell did you find me? And in the back of the van, somehow, Klaus has creeped in. I don't know if he was there the whole entire time. I don't know. But he's got Dolores, and he's like, how about a little privacy? And 5 throws the ball, the eyeball at him. And apparently Klaus can find anyone. It's like, oh, or he just knew where he was. Luther went to find him. He's like, I know where he is. Luther doesn't take Klaus seriously, because as soon as he mentions like the tech guy and have you found any more information, he's like, oh, it's just Klaus. He, don't listen to him. And they kick Klaus out of the van, and he's like, look, Grace, bruh, dude, you is killing me with this. You killing me. May have killed Dad. You need to come back to the house. And wait, what the fuck are you doing anyway? What are you doing out here? And he tries to tell him, I'm the leader of this family. And 5's just looking at him, what the fuck are you talking about? I am 28 years older than you. And he's like, well, you just think you're better than us. Because he's like, I think, I want to tell you what I think. He's like, well, I can't wait to hear. You think you're better than us. And you've always felt that way, even when you were a kid. And now, you're just an asshole for the most part. And pretty much number 5 goes into the thing that all old people do. Like, you don't know the shit I've done, the people I've seen, the times I've had. You don't know what I've been through. You just don't know what I have done to get back to you to save all of your asses. Klaus robs the convenience store. They just totally watch him run out of the convenience store with the man chasing him with like 20 snacks because he was stoned as hell. And they were like, maybe we should not have let him out of the van. That was not a good idea. At the donut shop diner, Hazel is enjoying some donuts because he really likes them. And he is talking with Chatty Cathy Agnes, who goes about her day. He's trying to charm her, and she's kind of falling for it, but not really. He tells her she's fluffy and her name means pure, and she's just like, oh, why do I have to go over this again? And they, when Cha shows up, they say that they are with the boy's parents. They're worried about him. He wasn't the kid of the tow truck man. And is there anything that you remember? And she's like, no. But of course, they always know more than they say. And she draws the tattoo of the Umbrella Academy. And they now know where to go. And I was like, yes, at least we're going to get an action scene. That's the thing I do like with the expectation with the song choice in every episode, is I'm expecting an action scene. And I'm like on pins and needles waiting for it. And I think that it's a benefit to the show, right? Because even if you know, or maybe if things aren't going in some arcs that you like, you know you're getting that scene. Back at Hargreaves Manor, they all watch the tape. And Klaus is eating his snacks as they are watching the tape. And everyone's like, Luther is completely like, Grace totally killed Dad. Luther, stop it. Diego's like, no, she totally did not give him the sneaking poison. You're full of shit. She clearly was giving Dad his monocle. However, Luther points out that, hey, I've searched this house up and down. I cannot find that monocle. And that is when Diego finally spills the beans that he took it from her and tossed it, because Luther totally wanted it because he is the only child that ever loved his daddy. And he is very pissed off. I love how they had their fighting stance like they were about to start a Mortal Kombat fucking fight in the house. And they kind of back off when Vanya steps between them. Like, okay, wait, okay, come on, let's think. And even Allison did side-eye Diego. Like, come on, dude. Even though she's always on Luther's side. But y'all know he was looking for that damn monocle. He was being shady. Didn't let him know that, just to piss him off. And Vanya says, look, Mom was built as a caretaker and a protector. So even if she did not kill Dad, her reflex should have kicked in where she would have assisted him when he had a heart attack. And obviously she didn't do that, and it shows a malfunction. Luther and Allison think she needs to be put down, basically decommissioned. Ben agrees because Klaus agrees with Diego because he's pissed because Luther kicked him out of the van. He's like, oh, now I have an opinion. And he's like, even our dead brother would agree. And Ben's like, no, I'm totally with Allison. And Luther. And I love that even though Ben is dead, he still very much feels like a part of the team. He's still a character. And I love Ben. I love him. He's just the introverted boy. Oh, he's just so cute. I love him. The whole family has to vote. And I like that as dysfunctional as they are, they do have rules. And they're like, we owe it to, because right now it was 3 against 2. And they're like, nope, 5 has to vote. We cannot make a decision until 5 puts his vote to it. And Mom totally overhears the whole entire thing. And Vanya and Diego check on her. And she's like, oh, everyone looks upset. I'm going to go make some cookies. Diego is totally attached to Mom. He tells Vanya that she evolved. And Vanya's like, well, don't you realize that she's basically Dad? Dad programmed her. Dad made her. Everything that she is, in a sense, is just Dad. And I can't help but see him when I look at her. And he's like, well, no, she was able to evolve because Dad was selfish. He never thought about anyone else but himself. He believes that Mom loves him. And we find out a little bit later why. Because Pogo is watching Vanya self-medicate. Once again, she takes about 5 pills a day. What is that? Valium, Xanax, something. He be staring real hard at Vanya. What is up, Pogo? Let us in on the secret. We get a quick flashback as Diego is combing the halls of Days Future Past. And the kids are running around. They're late for missions. And we see the impact that Mom has in the house. She's able to find, Allison's mask. She compliments Vanya on her lessons. Diego comes flying by talking about, where are my knives? She checks in on Luther, who's still doing nothing but push-ups. He's just a sensitive jock, is all he really is. And she puts out the fire that Klaus made. He's like, thanks, Mother. What? And we find out that Diego had a stuttering problem when he was a child, and Mom really helped him get through this, helping him visualize the word. He wants to say don't move, and then she compliments him, and you can see why he's very attached to her. Dad is all up in the doorway though, like, no, we do not, like, we don't do the affection thing. Diego asks Mom why she did it, or if she did it, you know, why did you stay with us all those years, taking care of us? Wasn't it or an ordeal? After he's coming out of his flashback, she tells him taking care of you guys is the greatest gift, like any mom would say. Diego tells her that, you know, it's okay if you hated Dad. He really just wants a reaction from her. He wants them to be able to relate in their hatred of this man. He needs someone to relate to him in his feelings, and he thinks that Mom can be able to do that. And he tells her, like, basically, we were tools in an experiment and you were his slave for 30 years and he didn't even give you a room to sleep in. He didn't even give you dignity as a person. Why are you still defending him? Please stop. He even shakes her a little bit, and she's like, you know, I love these paintings, and he's like, oh, these paintings are nothing. She's like, no, they're beautiful. This is the world that this woman lives in, and I wonder if she's lonely. And Diego can't deal. He just walks off. He can't, because she is what she is, no matter how much you want her to be something else. And even the scene at the end, I still don't think that she made it to full Dolores and Maeve. Maybe one day she would have hit that moment of consciousness, but I don't think so. I think he was looking for it, and it just wasn't there. Number 5 is still stalking old dude at Ameritech at night, and he comes out and he is up to some shady shit. He puts a duffel bag in a Nutty Buddy car and takes a brown envelope, and Five's like, what you up to? And that is when Cha and Hazel show up at the Umbrella Academy. Come on, Cha. Why in the hell on this busy ass street would you think the door would be open? First and foremost, how he was able to go back to his car, grab a tool to bust the door open, even though it was really cool, the pressure thing. This is a billionaire's mansion home. There are too many white folks in this neighborhood for this shit to have went down. Little unrealistic, but Klaus is in the bathtub underwater. I love how the scene kind of unfolded, seeing all the soapy water, and you're just like, where the fuck is anyone here? And he's below the bubble, and I do like that perspective shot. And then we see that he is, of course, constantly being plagued by the demons, the voices. He can't find peace. In those few moments that he does find peace, he's totally in bliss, but it's very few and far between. He sparks up a joint, puts on the tunes. We got our song selection for the episode as Cha and Hazel are casually strolling through Allison and Luther's room with their what does she have, like a semi-automatic on her? Luther is up in the attic where Allison's spot is anyway, and he's looking up at the moon. He recognizes Allison right away, and I like seeing the recognition on his face, again showing that he's very much in tune with her even before she got all the way up to her. To him, neither one she wasn't like, hey, you know, they're very comfortable in each other's presence. And she asks about what it was like being up there, and he says things were just simpler, but it was quiet, cold, and lonely. But there were moments where the sun would come from behind the moon, and it was like white glass, and it was beautiful, and it felt like those moments that I was meant to be there. And Allison says that she wishes she was there with him, and he tells her that you were. And I'm like, but my emotions can't take this. So, yeah, he wears his heart on his sleeve for Allison, and she very much, you know, because they're very close in this moment, and I thought they were going to go in for a kiss or something, but they don't, and I still wonder, once again, why didn't they get together? And then it pops off, because Diego comes out of his room. Cha and Hazel coming down the hall. They miss Klaus in the bathtub. However, Diego can throw knives when he's running. They start shooting at him, and Luther and Allison hear the shots. They run him down to the living room. It's a nice little shot. I mean, his ass was moving. He was jumping off balconies. He was doing kicks and moves with them. They was definitely going toe to toe. And the whole entire time that they are shooting up shit, Mom is upstairs knitting calmly and singing to herself. So if Diego needed some proof, there it was. Shout out to Homegirl for her fighting skills when Miss Allison showed up, because she took her on, and Luther took on Big Boy. They went at it. Luther straight threw Hazel across the room, and they both took out, they were like, Vanya was like, not Vanya, Allison was like, who the fuck are they? And Mary J. Blige's face when she took off her mask was everything. Even before the line, she's like, who are these people? Like, I was not expecting this shit, but how do they not know? They're in the comic books. Where are Hazel and Cha from? They're the mystery there. I need answers. But they're able to escape. Hazel or Cha goes after Allison. Luther goes after Hazel. Hazel, or at first, I think Luther just gets Allison to safety and does like a turnaround or something to try to go after him, because Diego says Luther no, and Hazel grabs what was that? What is that? Not a ball and chain, but a mace, maybe. And here come Vanya, like, what's going on, guys? And I'm like,
run, bitch, run!
Get the hell out of there. You is human and mortal, and you can bleed very easily. Get your ass out of there. He even got her with an ace. She took balls to the face. Tossed her ass across the room, and Luther takes him down. They go at it real strong, and Cha chases Allison, shooting at her the entire time. They eventually do start to go hand to hand because Allison grabs a pool stick, and she's able to get one on her, but you know, Cha can handle her own. I do like the idea of the mask because it clearly is not the actors doing all the stunt work, but it allows for the stunt work to be done without needing to do some unnecessary acting from the actor's perspective to try to, make the shots match up. So it's a really cool idea. It's like a helmet for their protection. And Diego comes in like, you're gonna use a rumor on her, and she's like, no, because she didn't piss me the fuck off. And Allison still gets served though, and Diego has to take Cha on, and Allison is able to find a knife and give it to Diego, and they throw it right in her ass. That was funny. And Vanya is just watching while Luther and Hazel fight, and I'm like, bitch, run, get up off this, like, you've been watching for too long, this is not a spectacle. And then when she runs, she gonna hide right on the side, and Luther gets totally body slammed because he got distracted by her and goes down. I'm like, what the hell is Hazel that he can handle Luther? Cha is at the top of the stairs and sees them looking down because Diego and Allison help Luther up, and Luther knocks them the hell out of the way as the chandelier comes down and crashes down on him, and Cha runs, Hazel runs. And Luther's secret is finally revealed because that coat comes off and his bare chest is kind of like half, I'm guessing ape, half human. It don't look that bad, but he's clearly ashamed. And the look between him and Allison, she just looks like shocked, but not, not disgusted. She's just like, oh my God. Like, because when he came out of that shirt, he got extra strong. He took that chandelier off. I feel like he's been holding himself back from his full strength. He needs to accept who he is, because if he really does have the strength of an 8, you should have handled Hazel like nobody's business. And he runs off in shame, but the look he gave Allison broke my heart because he definitely did not want her to see him like that. And it's probably the reason why they're not together. And Diego didn't say anything. Like, this would have been the moment that Diego would usually throw the shade, but even he was just like, oh shit. No one knew. Allison goes over to Vanya. She's like, Vanya? I'm like, what the fuck you doing here? And she's like, did you know? She's like, no. Diego goes to check on Mom, and Mom's jacked up. He's like, didn't you hear all the bullets flying? No. And she is sewing through her hand. It's disgusting. And his stutter comes back when he tells her it's going to be okay. And I was like, my emotions. And he does even without Five's vote, he does the right thing because he knows that even if he wants to keep her on, and like, I didn't understand if she's half broke, what's the problem? But maybe she is a liability that they can't have. The sisters are, Allison brings Vanya something for her head, and Diego comes in all types of shitty because of course he just had to do a shitty thing. He doesn't even tell them that, hey, I just killed mom, basically. And mom says something. She's just like, she's about to say something to him, like, Diego, I forgot. Allison, Diego tells her that, you shouldn't be here, you're a liability. She looks at Allison. Allison, unfortunately, she's like, well, what he means to say is, baby girl, you're not. And she's like, yeah, like you guys, I get it. But she's kind of like, no, you can get hurt or you can get in the way. And you kind of did. You took a mace to the face, so you could have been killed. And despite Diego hating her, he still loves her enough that he don't want her to die. Or at least cares enough about her that he doesn't want her to die. And Luther totally did get body slammed trying to protect her. So yeah, she is a liability, unfortunately. Unfortunately, this is just the last bit she needs to get fully pushed into Leonard's arms, because she goes straight to his house, all up in his mouth. Luther is totally in his room, looking in the mirror, disgusted by his appearance. We go back to the hotel, and Hazel is on the vibrating bed eating a jelly donut. So he stopped off. Does he have a thing for Agnes, like for real? Or does he really just have a thing for donuts? He need to stop eating though, because I'm feeling like his heart gonna give out anytime soon. And here comes Cha. She's like, bitch, you left me. Where you been? He's like, I figured if you, I didn't know where you were, so I figured you come back here. And she was like, and you just decided to get something to eat on your way? She's limping. She got her freaking hand in an ice jar. Her ass is bleeding. And he's like, I needed some comfort food after the epic fail that was tonight. And she's like, look, this was a shit storm. And he's like, well, we did get something. And that is when it is revealed that they actually stole Klaus, who we did see in the midst of the fight, still listening to his headphones, dancing, and in his towel. And I feel bad because he is totally about to get tortured, and that means we're probably going to get his backstory. And I don't know how I feel about a Klaus-centric episode. I do want to get his history, because I hope they give him, I should say it like this, I hope they give him media material that they don't have to necessarily turn into a joke. Because like I said before, if you've watched The Road Within, Robert Sheehan is actually a really strong dramatic actor, and it would be a good opportunity and a waste to not give him some serious material. Yeah, he can be the butt of all jokes and kind of be the person that makes the realistic statements shrouded, I should say, in humor. However, I would like an honest, real moment with him. So that was this episode. It was really good. I'm enjoying the season. This is my new favorite thing. I really hope they have a season 2. I will be pissed. I will be getting to season 4 or episode 4 tomorrow. If you want to send feedback, you can send that to Black Girl Couch Reviews. You can find this podcast on Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify at Black Girl Couch Reviews. It has been real. Till next time, peace.